Good morning, Paul and Toby. Paul Imig, Toby Altizer. What's up, gents?
Good morning.
What's going on?
Happy belated birthday to Giannis. I didn't mention that on yesterday's show.
Is he 28 or 29?
I don't know.
Yeah, happy birthday, Giannis.
29? 28? He's got the Bucks probably have to move on.
You know, that was gonna. I wish you wouldn't have jumped.
He's almost 30. 28.
At a certain point, you do have to sell high.
Yeah. Plus, he's probably in the back half of his career.
Okay. Well, now some of this is true. He is.
No, he's right in the middle.
He's right in the middle.
Yeah,
right in the middle.
Okay. This is not. He just turned
28.
28. Yeah.
All right, a couple voicemails, and then we'll get into
I thought we already did get into it.
Yeah, this one is from
talking Giannis trade packages. Just kidding. Go.
Oh yeah. Well, we could talk Middleton stuff. That came up on the Bucks post game the other day. Only could the Bucks beat a team like the Magic, and people still want to trade Middleton. Middleton, the third best Buck of all time. Oh yeah.
Now this I want to hear.
Middleton's the third best Buck of all time. I've put it out there, or at least we'll finish there.
And who? Okay, I know you want to play voicemails, but who's he in contention with? Oscar Robertson. Like who's like the top five?
Moncrief.
Sidney Moncrief for sure.
Giannis.
So it's Giannis, Kareem, and Middleton.
All right.
The top two are obvious, and then
Middleton's going to be in the Hall of Fame, yeah. Yeah, he is.
Really? Is he?
No, he's Hall of Famer, guys.
I don't know about that.
Get on board. So Toby wants to trade Middleton, and Paul thinks he's trash.
I have a Middleton package laid out and a Giannis package laid out, so we can really reset this franchise.
Yeah, rebuild while on the fly.
All
right. This is from Doug and Racine. We haven't heard from Doug on the pod yet. And you can leave your voicemails 402-915-BART. That's 402-915-2278. Brought to you by Carl's Place.
Nice.
Toby, you get that simulator put in behind you yet?
Not yet. Working on it.
I'm going to arrange for us to go back out there. And I'm going to, try.
Not get, 17 every hole.
I've actually been going out there without telling you.
I'll try to improve.
Yeah, so my whole thing about the simulator was get one so that because I wanted to once it came to golf time in nice weather days, I wanted to all of a sudden be good. And my friends would be like, how did you get good? And I'd say, I have a golf simulator. But now I need to get a golf simulator to practice in secret for when I play you again on a golf simulator.
Yeah.
So, Bart, what's your basement ceiling height? Could you put one down there?
I could put one down here.
That's a nice basement you have.
You got a grand piano and a fireplace. You got. I think there's lofted ceilings.
It looks like pretty tall ceilings, right, Paul? I don't even know why he doesn't look.
Oh,
you guys were describing what was on my green screen.
Oh man,
my green screen.
You got us again, Bart.
Here's Doug from Racine.
Hey, Bart, Doug from Racine. I finally found your podcast last week, and I binged them all. And I wanted to say, hey, I've been. I don't know when your regular show is at, what time. I didn't hear anything like that. I just been binging them, and I just wanted to say I'm glad to see you're back on the radio or on podcast, and I've enjoyed it a lot. Have a good one, and a little less of the F-bombs. You know, I am an old fucker. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Doug. So I did play a clip from Norris Chestnut on Twitter, and it was MFer after S after MFer after S. And I did feel like there was, because we swear a little bit on here, I think. I'd still like to swear less because I don't want to be like, oh, the podcast is freeing because I get to swear now. I'm not into that. But if it comes out, it comes out. Now, I am going to do some Zach Gelb shifts again soon. And so I hope that I'm not like, I've lost that.
Are you going to do like what you did probably once a week on the show where you'd be like, man, I really wish I could just drop an F-bomb right now.
God, I want to swear. Well, sometimes for effect, it made sense.
Yeah.
So I think there's a nice middle line. I do think that maybe a little too much. But what the fuck are you going to do? Ron in Rome.
Hey, Bart, this is Ron from Rome. I hear most of your shows, and I've been following your Twitter, and I haven't seen you talking about the Brewer trades at all. Seems like they're doubling down on getting guys that hit below the Mendoza line, and they're just hoping that they have a rebound season. I'm looking forward to an even worse year next year. What do you guys think? Thank you. Bye.
Is that a good transition, Paul?
I have Brewers topics. I wasn't going to start with them, but I have them.
You know what? It's winter meeting season. Why not? Take it away. Ron will answer your questions.
Wow. Packers are not leading the show. Okay.
Wait, let's mix it up a little bit.
I actually have two.
Two?
One Brewers and one MLB.
All right. And we're going to hear both of those right after these words. And we're back. Hit me.
All right. So, we're going to start thanks to Ron from Rome or Ron in Rome, depending on how you prefer.
Oh, and if Doug's found this, they post every day at 5 a.m.
Yes.
And I do live on YouTube after Packer games and select Bucks games, mostly the midweeks. Bucks games, including this, is released on Wednesday. So tonight, I'll be live after Bucks Kings.
Yes. And
with Rami Maklov?
No, so we talk. Yeah, Rami's doing a post game on his own.
Oh, man.
Like a Kings post game?
Yeah, for his station, but he's on StreamYard too, where I used to record. So we were trying to figure out a way to do that, and I don't know that it's worth it.
Also, let me just say before we get too far along in the podcast, help Bart on YouTube. We got to 1,000 followers. That was good. Now watch him on YouTube. We got to get his watch hours above 4,000 hours. We're close, right, Bart?
Yeah, YouTube, right when you think you have an accomplishment, they're like, oh, no, now you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to do this.
Moving the goalpost for you. Okay, so watch Bart on YouTube so he can get his watch hours up. Okay. There was a Craig Counsell comment on Monday that was fascinating. I think this was from Todd Rosiak, who I saw this on Twitter. Or maybe it was McKelvey. One of the two guys. Craig Counsell talked today about the positional prospects who stand to contribute in 2023. He mentioned Bryce Terang, Garrett Mitchell, Asterios Ruiz, Sal Frelick, Joey Weimer, quote, and even Churio at some point. Okay. Counsell said, I don't know why not. I think he did so much that why would you say you're not open to it? End quote. Then I think it was McKelvey then. He prefaced that said, Jackson Churio, the Brewers' top prospect, doesn't turn 19 until March 11th. He turns 19 in March of 2023. The last 19-year-old to play for the Brewers was Gary Sheffield in 1988. So I don't want to just focus. You can take this direction however you want. You can focus on the Jackson Churio part. You can focus on the other guys. But my question for you is that Craig Counsell's comments about several young players contributing in 2023 is far more exciting as a fan than bringing back slightly above average veteran players like Hunter Renfroe and Colton Wong. Or
Let me first ask Toby a question.
Yeah.
Dude, your favorite player.
I know, dude.
Trey Turner
11.
is not only reunited with Bryce Harper, but they have done it on a rival franchise.
Well, can we hold that thought? Because that's my MLB question. So
bad.
Toby, hold that thought.
Okay. Right. I wanted to make sure we got but you had a World Series, but that's tough.
Okay.
Could you imagine if one day Braun and Fielder were like Cubs together?
But I would say it would if they had won a World Series together in Milwaukee first. I would be more like, I would still be like, this is weird. But if they won a World Series first,
you didn't like Favre on the Vikings.
Damn it, you're right.
Well, it's a weird thing because I'm a Jersey guy, Jersey collector, not from Jersey. And I was like, oh, yeah, wherever he goes, I'll get a hat, I'll get a jersey.
Because you got a Turner Dodgers one, didn't you?
I had a jersey at least.
Oh yeah.
No chance I buy a Phillies jersey. Zero chance.
Can't do it. All right. We'll table some of that because there's a lot going on in MLB. As far as the Brewers, I would rather hear about those guys. And this is, we've touched on some of these trades to Ron's point, but what more can I get out of the Hunter Renfroe trade? First of all, I mean, there's a lot of angst that Brewers fans have, and a lot of we like to complain now. We're in that stage where we like to see what they do because everything they've been doing is wrong. So it's like, oh God, what have you done wrong? And so we like to just react negatively to whatever. But I'm not doing that for Hunter Renfroe.
Right.
Okay. I know that you could say, well, he was I don't even know. Third best hitter on what team though? On the Brewers. I'm not worried about losing Hunter Renfroe. Wong, I didn't want back. He lost it defensively. And I don't remember like a great Colton Wong moment. So, hey, Jesse Winker, okay, it's kind of like my name, but not really. And then this Toro guy that I always thought was good, but then I looked at his batting average and it was brutal last year. So yeah, I think to re-excite Brewers fans, like look at the Indianapolis Colts. Are they excited with Carson Wentz's body and Phillip Rivers' corpse? Or do they want Matt Ryan? Would they get more excited to see a young quarterback? I want these guys to come up now and change things a little bit. That will re-excite the fan base. And that's why I argue sometimes it's good to tank or be bad, because then you get a new crop in here. We can't be watching the same old thing all the time. So I am much more excited about any of the guys that Council mentioned than bringing back the Hunter Renfroes of the world.
Toby, I know not a Brewers fan, but I'm just curious. Like, you're watching the Brewers a lot, so what would you say about Council's comments?
Yeah, I think Bart and you have downplayed a little bit of Hunter Renfroe, and I would disagree with that. Colton Wong, Bart hit it on the head. Like, Colton Wong was supposed to be your defensive ace up the middle, and he kind of lost that. He never was someone that was going to provide too much in the lineup. He's a decent leadoff hitter, but you can find someone like that, and heck, it gives Yelich a spot now to bat in the lineup without having to have any controversy about who's batting leadoff. And I think when you look at the prospects coming up for the Brewers, I like a lot of these outfield guys. And I think that some of these guys should have probably been contributing even last year. So, I mean, to your point, I think when you look at what Craig Counsell said, it's got to be encouraging as a Brewers fan, because sure, you could have brought back Hunter Renfroe, and I think he's better than maybe what some people are giving credit for. But even so, you're bringing up guys like Joey Weimer, who's shown a lot of pop in the minors, who's shown that he can be an above-average bat himself and probably has more potential than a Renfroe. Same thing with Frelick, not necessarily the power, but brings a lot of a high average. And then obviously the most exciting one that he just threw the name out there is Jackson Chourio. Yeah. And you've heard him compared to Ronald Acuna. I mean, if you can get that sort of production out of a guy, who knows if he comes up midseason or if he even comes up at all. But even so, like, the fact that there's considerations of this is pretty exciting. The only reason I would say that there's some drawback from me is we talked about this last year where we thought all the teams in Wisconsin were in a window where the Packers we thought would be solid and that they would have a chance at the Super Bowl. We were wrong about that, obviously, this year. The Bucs are still in a window. And you would think with the pitching staff that the Brewers would be in a window, and you're going to be relying on prospects to get you over the top in the batting department. And so that's a little bit of a risky choice. But then again, when you look at the way that the Brewers operate, maybe that's the best way that they can get talent on the field without having to pay top dollar.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said with like Joey Weimer, who you brought up, who Counsell brought up, more importantly. What else, like in a lot of these cases, what else do you want him to do in the minor leagues? What else do you want Bryce Terang to do in the minor leagues? You have to create an everyday starting spot for them in the major leagues or trade them. And like, you've spent all this investment in them. You clearly believe in them. I'm sure they've had offers throughout the years to move Weimer, to move Terang. They've held on. Renfroe, right field, could very easily be Weimer. Second base is almost definitely, presumably, Terang. You have to let them try it. If Sal Frelick and Garrett Mitchell are essentially going to battle it out to see who's going to be the present and the future in center field, Jackson Chourio is on just some incredible rapid rise. And Toby, do you know? I mean, Acuna might have been 19 or 20 when he came up. There are these guys. Julio Rodriguez was 19 in Seattle, if I recall correctly. Like, it's incredibly rare, but when you are that special, I'm glad that the Brewers aren't thinking of it like when the Cubs said, "Hey, Kris Bryant, like, you got to wait until like April 23rd." Like this happens all the time with service time manipulation. They're just like, "Hey, if these guys are ready, let's go." I like that. I appreciate that. I would much. I like opening day with Hunter. Like, and Toby, you'd say, like, it's not about downplaying what Hunter Renfroe did. It's to say, is he the difference in the Brewers being the next step? Like, is Hunter Renfroe taking over the top? Is he the guy that you're like, okay, if Hunter Renfroe can deliver for us, like, no, you get out when you can get. I mean, he had a good season. That's great, but like, what are the Brewers doing with Hunter Renfroe as their best offensive player in right field? Nothing. Missing the playoffs is what they're doing.
Well, and the issue is, you kind of maybe said, like, let's choose somewhere else. Well, you have a log jam in the outfield, and Christian Yelich isn't going anywhere, and there is no center fielder outside of Garrett Mitchell, and you're not getting rid of him.
Well, Frelick.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, these prospects.
Oh, okay.
No Lorenzo Cain. Christian Yelich isn't going anywhere. So if you're going to say, like, we need to free up another outfield spot, Hunter Renfroe's the guy. Now, granted, they brought back Jesse Winker, so there's another outfielder for you if you're worried about some veteran presence. And honestly,
it sounds like DH though for Winker. DH.
Well,
I mean, he'll get some starts in the outfield, but
honestly, if you're looking at Jesse Winker versus Hunter Renfroe, you're just switching sides of the plate. They're pretty similar.
Yeah.
So as we talk about this, the Brewers also, the thing that I've taken away the most about the winter meetings, and I don't know if this climbs into your question coming up next, but all I'm thinking about is Corbin Burns.
Sure.
Okay, because you see DeGrom go to Texas, and now Verlander's coming over to the Mets, and you look at how much these guys are making, and Corbin Burns will make a lot of money. I've been saying at least 30. That's low.
Yeah,
definitely low. Keep in mind, because what, Verlander's 40 years old, DeGrom is 35 and often injured. Corbin Burns, is he 30 or something, like 29?
So he's good, but so with the Brewers, if you're saying, well, let's win while we have Burns and Woodruff, and let's win while we have these guys, you're in a spot where you're not going to go and get the Aaron Judges of the world. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to find a lineup that's that's equivalent to the talent of your pitching. The middle road of the Hunter Renfroes, that's not going to win it for you. We just saw that.
Right.
And then so you almost have to go like, let's see what the kids have.
Yeah.
And, let's bring up Chourio at 19. Let's bring up these other guys. And Garrett Mitchell came up, and Garrett Mitchell for a while was like the guy I trusted the most.
Yeah, he's clutch. Yeah.
Yeah, so that I think is because that top level is not available to us, and the middle level is proven that it's not even worth doing. Then the path for the Brewers in 2023 is bring up these guys we're all excited for.
Well, you look at it, and there's not many years left for the Brewers to try it with Burns and Woody. I think that there's a way that they could keep one of those guys, more likely Woody, because Burns is 40-some mil. Because you look at Scherzer getting that at age 37, his first year of his Mets year, and Burns, like you said, is going to come out a lot younger. You think 5 years.
By the way, Burns just turned 28. He'll be a free agent at just turning 30.
Yeah, so he's going to get a big payday. So
he's almost 30. Get him out of here too, then.
He just turned 28.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at it, I mean, you've got 2 more years, 2 more seasons with Burns if you were to take it to the end. chances are, if you're the Brewers, you're going to trade him and maximize, get people for him. Same thing if you want to consider not bringing back Woody. So really, this could be the year for it. So maybe this is the year where you do see some of these prospects. And if the Brewers feel like they have something, then they make a deadline acquisition for someone to bring a splash in. Otherwise, maybe you do end up seeing Burns and Woodruff moved because you're going to get a glimpse at the future. And if they don't see the future as being too bright right now, then maybe they have to move on from those guys.
I wanted to say too, like, I think this is 5 years later. This is the position player version of what the Brewers did with pitching in 2018. Bart, if I recall correctly, 2018, Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta were all on the major league roster. And right, it was at the 2018 season where it was pretty much, I recall the debate of, and Burns was brutal, like terrible.
Yeah.
They tried relief, and that was terrible. But then all of a
he was
sudden,
bad in 19.
Oh, that's right. When he was
18, he was like the right-handed hater.
Yeah,
That's right. But there was that year, and I think it was 19 then.
He was terrible.
19, where it was supposed to be like the Peralta, Woodruff, Burns. Like, we're going to ride with those three guys because they had just come off the 2018 season, as I'm connecting the dots in my head, of where Yolis Chassin is your number one, which, if only if only the pitching that the Brewers have had the past couple years lined up with the offense of 2018, and you didn't have Yolis Chassin as your starter and Wade Miley as your one batter manipulation guy at the top of your playoff rotation. So, I mean, yeah, just to round it out, like, this feels like the 5 years later version position player where you have Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. You have to see what they can do. You have to give them a chance in the majors. They've all now they had a rocky start, or at least like a rocky second season in Burns's case, and they're not. I mean, Ruiz and Mitchell and Frelick and Churio and Terang, like, they're not, and Weimer, they're not all going to be instantly great. They're not all going to be instantly good. Chances are 2 of the 6 will fail entirely, but you have to find out.
100%.
So,
All right,
very
let's move the other baseball one to after Packers. I want to get to Packers.
Let's do it.
Toby, if you want to go get your coffee, go get your coffee.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, get your coffee. And I'm going to be telling you all boys about Happy Place Hemp. Look at see YouTube. Happy Place Hemp. I'm going to say this first. HappyPlaceHemp.com. The promo code is BART. 25% off your order. Yesterday, I talked about the product, how great the gummies are. I almost forgot to actually tell you how to get it. HappyPlaceHemp.com. The promo code is BART for 25% off every order you ever get. Now, there are others in this town that have a promo code. Don't use theirs. Use mine. And if you've ever used theirs, I would almost like, hey, I used the wrong code. Can I? Because I want them to know that I'm still here. I might be in my basement, but I'm still here. I'm still cranking out pods. I got this all wrong. I've been thinking, get a podcast out in the morning. Get a podcast out in the morning when people are used to listening to me. But what I've realized is that my real enemies are those on radio in the afternoon. So maybe I start cranking out 2 pods a day. Yeah, how about that? Got nothing else to do. Somehow this all comes back to happyplacehemp.com. Promo code is BART, B-A-R-T. Promo code BART at happyplacehemp.com. Christmas time's coming up. A stocking stuffer. Put a sampler pack in there. I'm going to get for my brother-in-law a box of the red gummies, which have some little Delta 9, I think those are. And then a box of the green gummies, which I think are the Delta 8. So we're going to mix and match a little bit at happyplacehemp.com. Red and green being, of course, the colors for Christmas. Okay. No, the red ones. I'm sorry. That's the THCOs. Well, look at that. Look at that, brother-in-law. We're going to have a real nice time Christmas night. Okay. So check that out. happyplacehemp.com. Promo code is BART. Some different accessories, and then you can get the medicine or whatever it was that Tim Shea sprayed in his dog's eyes. That's not the exact way the story goes, but that's how I've chosen to tell it. happyplacehemp.com. Oh, there's Toby. There's Paul. What's up, you dirty dogs?
Yeah,
Are we ready? We're going to transition to Packers and then come back to the other winter meetings related one.
Yeah, I think that, 20 minutes of baseball was pretty good, but if you're going to talk another 10 minutes of baseball, we got to get some football in there. I mean,
Let's get some football in there. So
we can't be killing ourselves here.
I do love off-season baseball. It is fun. Hopefully others agree.
Do you have any college ones?
No.
Can I do a college one quick to Toby?
Sure.
Toby, or mm-mm. The committee should have put Ohio State against Michigan if they're both going to be in the tournament anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You think so?
What? No, okay, now I have to chime in. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they shouldn't pick the matchups. They should pick the rankings. Right?
So you would put Ohio State over TCU?
Yes.
Nah, if you played your conference.
Well, I mean, how many times have you seen they should be knocked out, but how many times have you seen a team ranked number 3 lose their conference championship? Granted, it's to a top 10 team, so I'm not saying that TCU didn't deserve to be in, but they just remained number 3.
So I got one point about the college football playoff that I think people argue, like the argument for Alabama being in would be like, well, isn't the criteria to pick the best 4 teams?
It's not.
So what the criteria that's what they say. The college football playoff in this 4-team structure is designed to get the teams that are most deserving of it into the playoffs. So TCU going to the championship game and losing in overtime, and that's their only loss, is much more deserving than the 2-loss Alabama team. Now, would Alabama be favored against TCU? Perhaps, but Alabama lost 2 games. The reason that they say our goal is just to get the best teams in is because there's no technical, they didn't print it out anywhere. You have 4 spots for 5 power conferences. It makes no sense. So what the committee is going to try to do is get the 4 most deserving teams. And then when you see like, hey, well, this team was good, but they didn't have a conference tournament or whatever, and Alabama, they say that as a backdrop. So they were always going to put TCU in ahead of Alabama. There's no debate on that. It's just they say the other thing in case they need to, which in the past they have. As far as this matchup, no, go ahead.
I don't like that people, it's for the 4 best teams. No, it's not. Because
then it'd be Alabama and Georgia every year.
So it's not for the 4 best teams. It's for the 4 most deserving teams, and I think they got it right this year.
So I don't think that – I brought this up because Dan Patrick was talking about it, how he says if it's a made-for-TV product anyway, have Ohio State and Michigan play each other. If they played in a national championship, if they both won and deserved the spot to be there, that's cool. But I don't think anybody has an appetite to watch this game again on a neutral site. It just happened. So I don't have the appetite to watch Ohio State Michigan again unless it's a national championship. I want to see Ohio State Georgia and I want to see TCU Michigan.
How much
I wouldn't have done it.
Do you give TCU against Michigan?
How much of a chance?
Yeah.
They could win that game.
Yeah, I think this year's playoff might actually be better matchups than we've seen in a while.
Well, Georgia is going to destroy.
I think Georgia beats Ohio State, and Ohio State gets blown out unless they decide that they're actually going to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. more. And I think TCU could hang around against Michigan for a little bit just because it feels like no matter what, Max Duggan is just going to find a way. That dude, such a hard player, such a hard worker. I mean, heart of a champion. That last couple drives for him, especially that one drive against Kansas State, unbelievable.
Would you guys like to be a part of December 27th when the Badgers play Oklahoma State?
No.
A 4-hour Bart Winkler podcast live during?
Brutal. No.
Talk about Luke Fickell the whole time.
All right. I'll table that. Paul?
All right. So I had a question queued up for Packers after Sunday's game. And then I heard Monday's podcast. And Bart, sometimes I listen to your show and I think, I don't think we're telekinetic. I don't think we're always thinking the same thing. I'd like to think we're not always thinking the same thing. And then the Packers won. Your take on that was almost here's how I was going to ask the question. I was going to ask the question like this. And the tone of how I say it is very important. The Packers won. Yay. Or mm-mm. Because I watched it, felt nothing. Didn't like when the Bears were up 9-0. I think I don't know how to say this because it'll get misinterpreted very easily. When the Bears were up 9-0 early in the game, I laughed. So the biggest emotion I had during the game was laughing at the incompetence of the Packers. Like that was like I was like, all right, this is cool. Like they suck. They're going to lose. They're going to switch spots in the draft with the Bears. I know we covered the draft conversation last week. And then they kind of slowly came back, and it was like, yay, you beat the Bears. Congratulations. Woohoo. So I don't want to cover this too in depth because you went into it pretty deep on Monday's show. But
we talked about it pretty good on Tuesday, too.
So let me just do a quick summary and just have you respond now that you've had a couple days to digest it. The Packers won. Woohoo. Or mm-mm.
Here, can I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
So who's your biggest rival? In your guys' opinion, is it the
Vikings.
Bears?
The Vikings.
So would you say the same thing if it were the Vikings you lost to? Because for me, as a Washington fan, I could go 0-15, but I better beat Dallas twice.
Well, no. So Toby, let me flip that, and I'd say if they beat Minnesota, a good team, there would probably be, and first off, bigger rival Minnesota compared to Chicago. And Minnesota, really good team. Chicago, really bad team. So you could feel, I think as a Packers fan, you say, well, no, wait a minute. I know it's been a lost year, but they just went to Minnesota and won. And Minnesota has a chance to be at least in the NFC Championship game. So I would say, like, oh, look at this. Like, look at this.
But what if Minnesota was bad? What if they were 4-8?
Well,
I don't know. But in this particular scenario of this season, I would say it would be totally different because you just beat a 3-10 or whatever they now 4-9, the Bears. You beat a terrible team. Woohoo. Good for you. And they're celebrating like it's a big deal. And I want them to care. The players should care. I like that they care.
Sure.
But this is not, I heard one of your callers talk about like the Patrick Beverley when the Minnesota Timberwolves won their play-in game and made it the playoffs. That's different. Like I liked that Pat Beverley situation because you just got through the plan and into the playoffs. If you're the Packers, you're 5-8. Congratulations. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? It's a totally different type of celebration. That's a pathetic. You don't go. You don't like. You're happy. You're a competitor. You won the game. Yes, you should be happy about that. But let's like, come on. You beat the shitty Bears. You barely snuck by the Bears. I know. Sorry, Ron and Rome. Or no, who was the other call?
Doug and Racine.
Doug doesn't want you to say fuck. Yeah.
And I didn't.
Don't say fuck. You can say shit, but not fuck.
So anyway, I felt like as the Packers came back, I was more like, oh, like this is dumb. My alternative question was gonna be the Packers winning on Sunday was dumb. Or
no. So I've talked about this a little bit, and I'll just kind of massage it because on Tuesday's show, I was trying to figure out why I was so down that they won, and what I realized was I'm mad that Jair got that pick.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that.
I'm pretty anti Jair right now.
I know,
and I don't like that he made two awful plays. Then said one of the guys that burned him was a scrub, who happened to be his old teammate, and then got rewarded for bad behavior.
Oh, you love that
with the interception at the end. What I didn't like about this game was, well, okay. I'm gonna do this for you because I saw a lot of people say this. They said, "Well, U.S. lost. Guess we can go back to not caring about the World Cup anymore." So you were like kind of into it, but then it ended, and immediately you didn't think about it anymore. You didn't have to root for soccer anymore. Good for you. When this Packer Bears game ended, that was it for me. They won the game. Let's move on with my life. Had they lost, and had the USA won, you guys would have had to be inundated with another week of U.S. soccer and Lionel Messi. And it's still happening. The tournament's still going on. In fact, I set a $4 DraftKings lineup that I forgot to set. Oh, man, I did it again. I do this so much. I've wasted so much money on DraftKings because I forget to set lineups. I just lost $5.
Just a $5 contribution just for the pot.
Well, because I'm really pissed off. And then last night I spent $20. I'm into the solitaire that you can play online now, and I did it. I'm a mess. Anyway, you don't have to care about soccer, so I don't have to care about the Bears anymore. Had the Bears won, it would have been terrible because this was the big game for the Bears. They thought they were going to have Fields beat Rodgers, and this would be the next era of Bears football. It still is. They just didn't get that. They didn't pass through the pearly gates. They're going to go around a different way. So they thought it was going to be a big moment. I just thought that the hype on the game was more than what the game deserved.
Sure.
I thought I felt that from Bears fans. I thought I felt that from the players. I thought I felt that on the TV broadcast when they said this will go down as another great installment in this rivalry.
Oh God!
But I felt that from Wayne Larrivee on the radio. I thought, I don't know. He was freaking out about one play, and it was a good play for the Bears. I'm like, well, remember that was 30 years ago you did that. So I just felt like the hype on it, and that's it. That's where I was, Toby.
Well, and two things.
God damn it. God, DraftKings.
I'm not a Packers fan, so I don't have to bash Chicago, but I'm going to. Have you ever seen a player lifted up as much in the losing efforts as Justin Fields is by Bears fans every single week?
When's the last game they won?
I don't know. They lose every week.
But that's what Packer fans want to do with Jordan Love. They want Jordan Love to come in and play well, but they want us to lose.
Yes.
But
that's
Justin Fields every single week. It's look how good Justin Fields is. He's the new king of the North, and he loses every week. So I don't want to hear that.
No, he doesn't lose.
His team loses every week. But
he's the best fantasy player going right now.
His team is awful.
His team is terrible. There's no doubt about it.
He is not.
And
this is the best case scenario.
Yeah,
but Fields is really good. The team is still bad. This is what you should want as a Bears fan.
I have a question for you guys. You get a choice of three. What makes you the most mad about the win on Sunday? The win, period, the way they won, or the reaction to the win?
Oh, the reaction to the win.
No, that made me the most mad. I think if they had gone in and trounced the Bears, I would have said, okay, you really took it to them. Good. So I'm going to say the way they won.
Yeah.
That you had to really nail bite it out to the final end. That's stupid. If you're going to have to go in and win, you better trounce them. If you can't do that, just lose.
Yeah. I'm not celebrating. Yeah, we had to come back from behind to beat a team we just shit all over.
I don't feel good. Woohoo! That's why the original question is yay,
Well, and I think that's the thing is, I think that's part of the reason that Packers fans are frustrated. What you guys just expressed is, if you went in there and beat them 40-10, it'd be like, all right, they won, and I don't think the reaction would be the same out of the Packers either. But because they felt like they came from behind and showed something that they haven't shown this year. You beat the Bears, who aren't very good, and you didn't do it in a very impressive fashion. Good for Rodgers to say that he still owns the Bears, but that's the only dude that should be thrilled.
I sent Bart, this is not my next question. You know what? Yes, it is. I sent Bart a picture. People magazine wrote about Aaron Rodgers and Mallory Edens at the game, and I didn't see the thing of the footsie and the knee bumps and the
whatever. They were playing knee bumps, yeah.
All right, so this was going to be a joke question, but screw it. Let's go. Aaron Rodgers and Mallory Edens are going to be a thing if they're not already. Or mm-mm.
Well, I don't know.
You tweeted about it. You've got a theory on it. I mean, we might as well go.
I just don't think you play that level of knee touch and you're not bumping uglies. But I don't know that they ever, do that. But there'll be nights where they think about each other.
It's just a business relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bart, your video, I had not seen what you had tweeted about until after I sent you. Why? I was basically, why is People Magazine taking this one image where they appear to be flirtatiously glancing at each other? I thought
in high school, sometimes
and then there's the knee bump, and then the knee bump video, and I'm like, now hold on a minute.
High school and junior high before, if you like touch somebody's foot in 8th grade and they don't move their foot, it's like sexually charged. And you're like, whoa, what is this feeling going through my body? And when you're an adult playing that level of knee tag, holy boy.
Yeah, and wasn't like her dad on the other side of her?
Well, that's probably why he brought her to the game. He's like, date Aaron. You'll have more money, so you don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, I don't think a good dad would want their daughter mixed up in that world, though.
Into the Aaron world?
No, you don't want that.
Ayahuasca, baby.
You don't.
Well, so what I said about Rodgers, because she would probably have to have him sign the prenup.
Yeah,
but Rodgers would talk her out of it because he'd say like, "Why we got to sign things, baby? This is all just words. Words are just letters. Letters are just made up by cavemen. And how can you like, what's mine is half, what's yours is half? How do we own anything? How do I own this shirt? What makes me owner? How do I own my house? Like, you're telling me I own land? How do I own land? You can't own sky. You can't own water. How did we decide that one day you can own earth, baby? So no, I ain't signing no prenup. Think that would work?
I think that's how the conversation would go.
I know it is. Because that's what I tried to do with my wife.
It's just a replay.
Yeah, that's what we did. No, it's kidding.
All right. Toby, any other thoughts before I go on to a different topic?
No, you're good. Go
All right,
for
thanks, brother. All right, this one's about Christian Watson because, okay, we can actually be excited about Christian Watson. Friend of podcast, Peter Bukowski, he's teasing the possibility of forget offensive rookie of the year, forget Pro Bowl. Let's start talking all-pro rookie Christian Watson. All right.
All-pro?
You didn't see this tweet? Yes. All-pro as a rook. Now, I'm not going to get quite that carried away, but Christian Watson is going to be an all-pro at some point in his career. Or An all-pro in his career. Which is what? He's going to make him a top 4.
I think 4, yeah, right?
Top 4 wide receiver.
Either 4.
Is this what MVS would have looked like if he could catch?
No.
Doesn't have the no. Doesn't know. No.
The Watson touchdown was all Watson because Rodgers underthrew that.
Yeah. And the end around, like,
Threw it
when's the
behind.
last time the Packers have had a player who can do that?
Yeah.
Well,
Tyler Irvin.
Yeah, right. Minus the 7 inches of height difference and
All pro, I don't know. That's a lot. The odds are better to say no.
But look at what you're seeing right now from Christian Watson on the Packers, and go, especially this Bears game and the last couple of weeks with some of the deep touchdowns, and go back and watch his college film. It's the exact same thing. End around touchdowns that he just runs past everyone, deep balls where he's just running past everyone. So this is exactly what he did in college. And he's going to have a better quarterback than he had in college, except for when he had Trey Lance for, what was it, like 1 season. He's going to have a better quarterback, even if it is Jordan Love. I don't see a reason he couldn't be. I mean, right now, if you were talking about receivers over the last 4 or 5 weeks, Christian Watson would be up there with anybody.
How many all pros are there in each conference? Or all pro is the league?
That's why Toby and I were saying. I think there's 4 first team all pro wide receivers, right?
Okay, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson.
He's been better than CeeDee Lamb the last couple of weeks.
Yep, last month.
CeeDee Lamb's pretty good. Tyreek Hill.
Look, do a numbers comparison. It's not.
We're not expecting him to do it this year.
But he's scoring touchdowns. That's the thing.
We're not saying this season, but you take this and put this over a 17-game pace, take away some of the touchdowns because this is unrealistic at this point.
Well, and I'm going to say just because I don't want to be Packer fans love to like, hey, how about all you Christian Watson doubters? Where were those people? All we might have said was, like, we say facts. It's like, man, Christian Watson's been hurt. They haven't really got a return on him yet.
Well, and people are like,
let's not say, oh, David Bakhtiari, I'm worried he'll never play again. Okay. Oh, you guys that doubted Bach. Yeah, guy's been out for 2 fucking years. Of course I doubted him. Guy's got a tummy ache and he's got to have surgery.
The
Oh,
thing,
stop it. Come on. That's too far.
dude was coming out of North Dakota State, and it's not that they were ever doubting the talent; they were just doubting that he could help out right away, and he didn't help out right away. But to your point, Paul, with the question, I'm going to go with because you look down the road. I don't see a reason that he can't be one of the top receivers in the NFL because we've already seen just this year that he doesn't look like that polished of a route runner.
Right.
He's not running anything exceptional. Mostly what he's running are go balls or posts or corner. Like he's not running anything outside of maybe 3 routes
or on the road. Preparation is.
So if you can get,
What the hell was that?
I was trying to pull up the all-pro list and then some autoplay video nonsense.
so if you get him to be a little more polished as a route runner, to become more of a number 1 type receiver, and then assuming Dobbs can come out and be a nice complementary player, then I don't see a reason that you can't have Christian Watson ascend to being one of the top wide receivers in the game. And this is the talent that people were excited about. And this is why when you looked at this draft class, which is very exciting, you got Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, all these guys. I thought that there was a chance that the guy with the highest potential and possibly the best receiver in the draft was Christian Watson.
Yeah. By the way, so the all-pros last year, Devontae, Cooper Kupp, Debo, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
So 5.
I think it depends. Like I think there could have been 4, but I think when they tie, they just, yeah. But either way, yeah, he'd have to be a top 4, top 5 wide receiver. And yes, this pace is absurd that he's on right now. But why would it, like, short of injuries, which of course have been his Achilles this far, why would it stop? I mean, this guy, yes, you're going to start game planning for him. Like, you know what, we talked about the other day. Was that Andy Herman you talked to, Bart, where it's like they have players, not playmakers? They have guys you don't have to game plan. Like, if you're a defensive coordinator, who are you? Like, Aaron Jones is really good. We have to talk about him. But that's really that's the only guy we have to worry and talk about and scheme around. If you're not scheming around Christian Watson,
Yep,
you're doing a disservice to your defense as a defensive coordinator.
I just
Yeah,
am not.
the Packers have a guy here that you have to specifically plan for, or he'll destroy you.
I get all your arguments. It's all sound. It's all good. Oh, we didn't mention Devontae before. I'm gonna say I know. I'm gonna say no. He will not be an All-Pro.
Of course, the odds are that he won't. So let's be clear. Like,
I'm
the
taking
odds
the
are that
odds.
he won't.
If you put my house on it.
a Watson doubter. I cannot.
Oh, yeah.
All-
Bart said Watson would never be good enough to be an All-Pro. No,
Clip
Bart
it.
looked at the odds of who can be an All-Pro, and I said, it's more likely he won't than he will.
Yeah, but now you're just hating. So, like, I want to clip this and make sure that we all know that Bart does not think Christian Watson is good.
Christian Watson's not even my top 5 Watson. Steven Watson, Sherlock, and then his buddy Watson, Deshaun Watson.
top 5 wide receiver on the pack.
Just kidding. I don't
Okay.
like Watson.
All right. You want to do the Brewers or the MLB one, a Bucks one, or what do you want? What are you in the mood for?
I got one for you.
Okay.
The Steph Curry video where he made 5 or so throws from full court will be the crossing the Rubicon of society. There's no coming back. Why I say that is, of course, that was fake.
Yep.
But so many people thought it was real. And because they took a player that was so good, and if you watch the video, it looks real. And we're at a point in technology where deep fakes are very much confusing to people. You can do it with audio. There's going to be some situation someday where people are confused so much, like when Orson Welles said there was an alien attack and people believed it. I think that's going to – I think the amount of people that thought that Steph Curry video was real and had no doubts about it is very concerning for me. And I think that eventually the end of humanity will become something that is the result of a mistake or a deep fake or a piece of audio that was faked.
So you're saying end of the world happened because Steph Curry made 5 full court shots.
Yeah, we're going to look back and say that's where it went wrong. That and when we were like making the Boston Dynamic robots do backflips, even though as
That one.
mid backflip, they were studying, oh, the humans are laughing at us. They think we're cute. I'll show you what's cute.
Bart, when's the last time you brought up your robot takeover takes? Because that's like prime Bart Winkler.
They will kill us. And then
The
we
robot.
block them. And then we're going to start having sex with them?
Who's we?
I mean, I always say I'll try anything once.
Okay. Yeah. No. Where were we going with that? I was going to tell you, like,
I was just talking about my robot fetish.
well, and then you say the Steph Curry video. You know, when Aaron Rodgers first meets the Packers rookie class of 2023, he's going to say, "Hey, that's Steph Curry video. You might want to look into. You might want to look into that."
No, see that he believes. Hey, the Dark Ages.
All right, I teased
The dinosaurs. You might want to look into the dinosaurs.
All right, I teased the MLB one earlier, so I don't want to not get to it. So let me ask it. And Toby, I admit when I put this question together, I totally forgot about how Nationals and Phillies and all of that, and why you would definitely never in a million years cheer for the Phillies. I did not consider that. So I know your answer is I just don't know what your answer is going to be beyond that. So all of these signings at the winter meetings, all of these trades, all these things happening. The Trey Turner signing with Philly, I like watching Bryce Harper. I like watching Kyle Schwarber. I've always liked JT Realmuto. Trey Turner is awesome. If there was one non-Brewers, non-Nationals team that you were to cheer for next season, and Toby, I know the answer is it would be the Phillies, Bart. Or or
No, see.
So basically, who's your favorite non-Brewers team to root for?
Well, mine's always been the Rays.
Yeah, it's been mine too.
Because they, despite what baseball, like it sucks. This is the thing I said about the Brewers yesterday. And it can't be a team that spends money, Paul. It can't be, because it goes against everything that we are struggling with as Brewers.
But also I want to watch the Phillies. No, Bryce Harper's not going to. He's going to be out until like the All-Star break, right? But I want to watch the Phillies.
But in
So
the
I know they did it. I know they did
you want to watch them. I like watching the Cowboys. I don't like the Cowboys. I like watching when the Red Sox and Yankees play.
Yeah, I do too. But
I don't. You can't.
But don't you
big
want to
problem with the Brewers right now is we're in a system that is stacked against us, and our owner does it like they're accepting of it. So we know that we're stuck, and he's just like, fine, we're stuck. Instead of putting more money into this, I'll go buy Norwich City.
all I would say is like,
and this Jackie Robinson card.
I agree with the premise of what you're saying, but I'd also say like when the Rangers signed DeGrom, and maybe it's going to
DeGrom's going to suck now because everyone the Rangers signed sucks.
Well, was Seager?
They all turn to shit when they go to Texas, except for Nolan Ryan.
Seager's batting average was way down, but his OPS was still fine. So the baseball
fielder got shitty.
Well, he was already when he was traded there from Detroit. He had already.
Didn't they sign like a Kevin Brown type years ago, and then he sucked?
Yeah, that was like the first. Was he like the first pitcher to get $100 million or something?
The Rangers, they're never going to be good.
But don't you at the same time though applaud a team like the Rangers who have just perennially sucked for a while?
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey, this is cool. Like this is good for baseball, right? That DeGrom isn't a Dodger or a Yankee or even a Reds. Like, okay, the Rangers. All right, the Rangers. You know, like maybe it's gonna end up being a waste of money, but I applaud it. I'm like, this is cool. Go Rangers.
Cool for 10 starts next year.
Again, it's not my money, so it's like whatever. But like in terms of baseball parity and you know what team would be fun to like randomly watch on a Sunday night baseball? Like the Rangers just became a little bit more relevant.
Adrian, I'm looking at top 10 Rangers free agent signings. 1, Nolan Ryan.
Yep.
2, Rafael Palmeiro came back. 3, Adrian Beltre. Okay, he did good. 4, Sin-Soo Choo.
Ooh.
Wow.
He tanked. 5, I didn't even realize Will Clark was a Ranger. 6, Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That was-
Colby Lewis. John Wetland. Joe Nathan. Vlad Guerrero had 1 year there.
I always thought Joe Nathan was so overrated.
When he was he Twins, right?
Yeah.
By the way, since we've been talking, Buster Only has said that the Dodgers and Rays are competing for the services of Andrew McCutchen.
Oh.
Ooh.
A whole, what, 2 or 3 mil?
All right.
Well,
Well,
he is-
I don't know if you have a Bucks one, but I'm gonna
Well,
play
you
Hot Take Jake's voicemail instead.
hold on. You never let me answer who I'd rather watch than the Phils.
Root,
Okay.
watch for, whatever. Yeah.
San Diego Padres, baby. Juan
Well,
Soto.
And even without like your Juan Soto connection, I still think that's a good answer because the Padres go for it. Like I like that. Like that's fun. Go Padres.
And I know it's unpopular, especially in a podcast that is primarily listened to in Wisconsin, but I love Manny Machado.
I strongly disliked Manny Machado for obvious reasons during that run, but I mean, I'm not seeing him as often.
Machado from his
And
day more.
And when I watch the Padres, I'm like, I want to see a Manny Machado at bat. I do.
How does a guy like RD Top feel on Twitter when he defends the hater trade, and then both David Stearns and Craig Counsell have come out and said it was a mistake?
Well,
How do
I
you
would
feel when you carry water for the Brewers because it's reflex, and then the Brewers say, no, we were wrong? That's got to be a dick in the punch. I mean, a punch in the dick.
Yeah, one or the other.
Although I think a dick in the punch would actually be worse if that's what happened.
Right in the bowl.
Yeah. And then you drank the punch.
Yeah.
The Bucks question will still be relevant next week. It's not times. It's evergreen.
All right. I want to play this from Hot Take Jake to wrap things up. On Tuesday's show, we've been joking about trading Middleton. Last week I said Tim Shea wanted to trade Middleton. Complete joke. He didn't know I was going to say it. Here's Hot Take Jake. This call came in during our program.
Good bullet bull. What's up, Bart? Hot Take Jake here. Just kind of listening in on you and Tim's conversation about Khris Middleton on the pod today, and I'm a little disappointed in you guys. You fell into the trap, just like the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. You want to keep this guy based on prior performance, not on what this upcoming contract is going to bring you. So when you think about a guy like me, and I get it, it's kind of hard for a lot of people because I'm always right. But someone like me looks at Khris Middleton and says, all right, here's a guy who always is battling injuries. He has conditioning issues. He's already lost a step or two on defense. He's going to decline his player option at the end of this season and become a free agent unless you give this guy Giannis money, because that's what we're talking about here to keep Khris Middleton is Giannis money. So you're in that like $45 million per year range. So you're ready to give this guy that's had injury issues, conditioning issues. He's already losing his step. He's 32 in this offseason. You want to give him a 4-year deal for Giannis money because, yes, he did a great thing. He helped seal a championship. He had huge moments in that playoff run. But, guys, by the time he's a free agent, that's going to be 3 years past. You can't give money. You can't give years on a deal based on what you've previously done. So it's not Khris Middleton. Hey, it's just like the whole Jordan Love situation. You got to be realistic. You got to look to the future here. I want this Giannis window to be for the next 8-9 years. Okay, so if you trade a Khris Middleton now, maybe you get a young stud that develops. He's not Khris Middleton right now, but the way this Bucks team is playing right now, I don't think they necessarily need him to keep that championship window open. In fact, the early returns are not great, especially defensively with Middleton. And then, of course, yesterday he had a shit show on offense. I'm just saying, guys, you can't give money in years based on previous performance because we've seen it burn teams so many times, especially locally. I still love you guys, but
open up your minds a little bit. Later.
I think where points were made by Jake, I've been hearing my whole career people have been trying to get Khris Middleton off this team. So I don't entertain.
Well, here's the issue, and he just dismisses what he did on the championship run as not that big of a deal.
And you can't judge Middleton's first 3 games back from injury. First 2.
Well, here's the thing. He goes, well, all he did in the finals, that's awesome, but you can't dismiss that as not that big of a deal because the Bucks brought in a guy last year in Grayson Allen who you're like, oh, okay, this guy might be able to contribute. And then you got to the playoffs, and in that Celtics series, disappeared. So you could go out and trade for someone. You could go out and sign someone. And guess what they could do in the playoffs? Just absolutely disappear. You have a proven playoff competitor in Khris Middleton, and I don't need him to play a huge role right away in the regular season. If Khris Middleton only gets in 30 or 40 games in a year, that's fine. As long as he's in shape for the playoffs, give me a playoff Khris Middleton. And that's the thing with this Giannis window that he mentioned. I have a proven guy in Khris Middleton. Why would I trade away a proven commodity in Middleton for someone who might be able to help me down the road?
All right, let me counter that. Ready? Toby, you said in reference to what Jake said, well, it's great what he did in the playoffs, but I would always say, like, anything that happened in the past should always come with a but. It should always come with a sure. Yes, it's like that was amazing. That was great. Can he do that again at 32, at 33, at 34, at 35? It's a totally fair question. You should never give a contract to somebody based on anything that they have done, right? Like, I mean, those are indicators.
Sure.
But you have to project forward. And like, okay, we talked last week about, like, if you woke up one day and you had a notification on your phone that said the Brewers have traded Corbin Burns, my first reaction would not be like, what are they doing? Okay, what's the return? Okay, it was that, or it was this. Okay, well, now let me process it. But the idea of trading Burns isn't like, what are you doing? If I woke up one day and there was a notification, the Bucks have traded Khris Middleton, I wouldn't say, without seeing the return, what are you doing? You're crazy. Like, this is the worst thing you've ever done. You're going to destroy the Giannis window. I'd be like, oh, okay, let's see what they got back. I don't think the idea, the mere idea of a Middleton trade is crazy. He is going to opt out of his player option. He is going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 years and $200 million. Bart, to your point, in the Milwaukee market, when the Bucks first re-signed Middleton, I would think it was like, this is going to sound so ridiculous, somewhere in like the 4-year, $46 million range or something. And there was this guy named Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on this radio station in the area who was, and Sparky and I are usually on the same page about the Bucks and have been historically. And he was like, I recall him thinking like, that's crazy. And I said, Sparky, the cap is about to go up and there's gonna be all these things. And Middleton is just ascending as a player. So I've been on like the Khris Middleton's a guy you shouldn't lose. I'm not sitting here saying trade Middleton. I don't have like that take yet as Bart disappears in the background of his YouTube. But the mere idea or mention of trading Middleton is not crazy, because the thing about the NBA and the salary cap is once a guy, like, let's say he opts out and he signs somewhere else, the Bucks don't have, okay, well, now they can spend that $35 million somewhere else. No, you can't. You're over the cap. You're screwed. So you either have to re-sign Middleton for absurd money. We're talking $50 million a year plus, or you have to trade him now. If you let him walk, you can't replace him. So you're either saying by keeping him, okay, yep, I'm comfortable with paying.
When's his contract? When's his contract?
This offseason.
Oh, fuck. Well, then you're going to shit.
This offseason. His player option is this offseason. He will opt out. It's a 99% certainty he'll opt out. And then you do have to make a 4-year, $200 million decision to take him through his age 36 season. The idea of trading Middleton should not be dismissed.
But it's boy who cried wolf. People have wanted it forever, and now the fact that it actually might make some sense. You guys have been begging for it for 9 years. I can't take it seriously.
I hear what you're saying. It's been a bad idea for the majority of those 9 years. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad concept anymore. He's going to opt out. You're going to either have to just pay him the full max, which is, again, like 4 years, $200+ million. You'll be paying $56 million because there's always like the 8% every year it goes up. You'll be paying 36-year-old Middleton like $56 million. That sucks. Like there's no way 36-year-old Khris Middleton is, even with a rising salary cap, is worth that. At 36 in 4 years, it's a near impossibility.
I don't think, and you laid out.
There you go, Jake.
I don't feel like the idea of trading him is that crazy. It's just going to have to be for someone that can help, for sure. Like,
yeah,
I want something. If I'm trading Khris Middleton from a championship contender like the Bucks, I don't want to get picks and a prospect who hasn't proven anything.
Absolutely.
I something proven, and I prefer, if I can, to get someone who's playoff proven. Like, I don't think it's super ridiculous, and I've never felt like trading Middleton's a good idea, and I still wouldn't be in that camp, and I still don't know that even when this is brought up, I felt like trading Middleton was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard either. But I just have a hard time when you have a core like the Bucks that has proven that they can win a championship, and you're in a championship window, to break that up. But I mean, if you're looking down the road, this just comes back to the thing, like, I have a hard time, and this is why the Hader trade hurt so much too. Obviously, the results weren't good. Is you're looking down the road on something that you can win this year, and I guess you do have to do that as a business in sports, but as a fan, as probably a player, and as a coach, that's a tough thing to do, and that's why you have to trust these GMs at times, like a John Horst, because they have to look at this season, but also the next 5. And as a fan, I can't really do that. So, I mean, you laid it out pretty well there, Paul, that maybe it is something they have to consider.
Yeah. Bart, have we just broken your brain?
Well, I'm thinking who trades for Khris Middleton.
That's where my head is. I don't know what team needs Middleton, because whoever, like, okay,
you're
not
going to come there and be like the Kings aren't going to be like, well, let's build around Khris Middleton.
But they could say, oh, this is the final piece of our
if you
puzzle.
Had that needed.
Why are we trading him away?
Some playoff experience.
Well, the answer to that question, just to play it out, is because you don't want to be the team paying 36-year-old Khris Middleton $56 million. That's the only reason, not because Middleton isn't good or Middleton that you can't get. It's because why did you trade Middleton? The answer would be, if John Horst was telling you the complete truth in this, would be, we don't want to pay 36-year-old Khris Middleton $56 million.
What is Middleton's player option?
Like 30, 40, 38, somewhere in that neighborhood. He'll get more than that next year from someone, probably the Bucks.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing with all of this is, like, the obvious business side is to decline and then sign the bigger contract. Mm-hmm. You just wonder if you get in the culture. Bobby's taken less, and then obviously Bobby took less and then got paid. Same sort of thing you've seen with other guys. Is it something that Middleton would consider?
No.
I don't know. Middleton's made a lot of money,
but this is his last payday. He's Portis was 27 when he did that. Liz passed off 27, and
it's his last payday. I do get that, but is it something that he would just consider? You know what I'm saying? Like, not getting the full money, or taking.
You know what Middleton would do? Middleton would say, "Hey, John Horst, hey, ownership group, let me go home tonight. Let me consider that." And then he wouldn't consider it for a second. Would come back the next day and say, I thought about it, and I'm going to have to decline. Sorry. Like, that would be.
Yeah, I know people that have had opportunity to make more money than they're making and have turned it down. So why wouldn't Middleton? Well, does Middleton want to? If they're like, hey, we might have to trade you, and you're going to make $50 million in California, or you can make 40 here, where there's less tax, and you could retire $1, I'd take the 40 million.
Well, you should advise Khris Middleton then.
Boys, my love for you, I always think it is capped. It continues to grow. It's kind of like the universe. It's always expanding.
Always expanding.
Yeah.
All right, so put up a show poll. Should the Bucks trade Khris Middleton?
When you ever like talking about some stuff like this, like trading Khris Middleton, do you ever think like how insignificant we are in the scale of the world?
Never.
Well, you should more.
No, I don't care.
Far too frequently is the answer to your question.
Oh, I told my wife last night. This is where I'll leave you. I told my wife last night, and as we're talking, I just got a second rejection letter from another company. But I don't know if they already rejected me and they just screwed up, or if because some of these I would get rejected and reapply.
Usually not a winning scenario.
I told her, this is dark. You want to know this?
Sure.
I said, I am going to die someday. Maybe it will be because of natural causes. Maybe a blimp will fall and crash on my face.
Is that what you wrote?
Whatever it is, I'm always going to want one more day with my son. It's hard to think about life without obsessing about death. What a curse.
It is the human challenge. Our understanding of
Toby's like, I came here to talk about fucking Trey Turner, man.
Toby's still in his 20s. He doesn't have kids. He's in his 20s. None of this has entered his, nor should it,
Yeah. Yeah, don't talk to us, Tobes.
I'll try not to be. I'm all good.
All right, boys.
Toby, do you know how old Bart is in 2 years?
Very.
40.
Yeah.
The only thing
I just passed my half birthday. Thanks for noticing.
the only thing that depresses me is when my football team needs a win and they tie.
I remember that time of my life when that was the biggest concern. Sports fans have all been there.
Trying to get a podcast started when you're 38 is one thing, but if I'm 40, I better be Bart McAfee if I'm 40.
Otherwise, you're just using all your podcast earnings to buy a Porsche for your midlife.
Yeah. Dayton
It's a very, very old, broken Porsche, but it's a Porsche.
All right, boys. Love you.
See you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
You said it. Paul didn't. Wow. What a dick.